The light was in my eyes. Hey, how nice of you to come see me. Peter, hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Alan.
This one is
Hi.
shuffling off.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
You've been around the whole show, have you?
Traveling to the next life.
Yeah.
To the afterlife.
Yes, oh, I can't bring this on.
Welcome to the crypt. We are 9 artists and 575 dead Victorians. The dead Victorians won't bother you. We might bother you a little bit. We have a show that talks about old-fashioned sideshows. We talk about life after death, whatever and wherever it may be. We are passionate about recycling and collecting crap and making it into art, the rebirth of crap. So come in and have a wander and see what you think.
What you were expecting.
And here is Phil.
Well, yeah, no, I've watched.
We used to be wild old women. We're now wild old women and wild old men. And Phil's name is actually Wildman. Wild by name, wild by nature. And Phil is the master of garbage, the rebirth of garbage. Dustbin baby is what he calls himself. And he's got quite a lot of stuff here made from crap off the streets. Crap off the streets. So you will see in a moment. Is Phil Wildman. He's the wild man that goes with the wild old women, and this is his work. So do you want to talk about your work a bit?
Yeah, basically, my out jump, find rubbish that people have given up on and inject new life into it. It's also very green, I think, recycling. And what I'm trying to get into is humour. There's a vein of humour running through all this work, all the pieces in the gallery.
This work is by Kreitzman and deals with old-fashioned sideshows when people were known as freaks. Very, very good living, displaying themselves in circuses. Seems incredibly politically incorrect now, but absolutely fascinating. And each one of these paintings is based on an actual person. And somewhere in the painting will be incorporated the story of that particular so-called freak. Some of them extraordinarily beautiful people. This is one of Karen van der Plas' pieces, and this is about a woman who has a woman's head and body at the top, but she had 2 pelvises and 2 sets of legs. She was featured in circus sideshows, but she also went on to get married and have children. And I find this particularly fascinating because I've also painted Siamese twins, but the other way around, where they have only 1 lower body and 2 upper bodies. We've seen a lady with 4 legs and 1 torso. Now we have one who has only 2 legs under her skirt and 2 torsos. This was a painting of Siamese twins, and it's Amanda May Steele. This is when she's on the council estate mum with no makeup and being quite angry because her neighbors have set the sofa on fire outside. And this is Amanda dressed up to go out because she's also a very glamorous performer. The idea came about because of a book that was being put together by Alex Goetjes in New York, and it was called Max and the Siamese Twins, and it was all different pictures about Siamese twins. Donald number 3. He's my second favorite piece. And I was wandering in my favorite flea markets, Thursday at Spitalfields, and
one of my favorite vendors had this on his stall. He knew that I would go crazy for Donald. Donald looked at me, I looked at Donald, and we immediately fell in love with each other. It's a fiberglass mold, and it was probably used for a film, a horror film or something like that, molded to a particular person named Donald. This is Donald number 3. It's very heavy. I don't know anything about the background of it, but I knew I had to have him. And the vendor kindly delivered it right to the crypt. And I thought, we'll do something with it, but I don't know exactly what, but I had to have him. He's not for sale. He comes back home with me when the show is over. So Alfonso, who takes care of us and has always helped me put together my shows, saw Donald, and I said to him, here, do something with him. I didn't have any idea what to do. So he took my 3 plinths. I collect these spools and we paint them and use them in various exhibitions. And he stacked the stools and he put Donald on top and he just left him. And I was wandering the halls looking at what we had done, and there he was. It was absolutely perfect. But I decided Donald needed an eye, and I wanted him to have an eye right in the center of his forehead. I have a huge box of eyeballs of all sorts, and I took various eyeballs and tried them, and Donald rejected them. He didn't want anything to do with an eyeball. So I gave him a set of eyes just below. He had to have eyes, but he didn't want one right in the middle of his forehead. So there he is, 3 spools, a fiberglass mold, a set of doll's eyes, and that's how art is born. I think this is the strongest piece in the whole show. It's Steve Streit's work. It's called The Bereavement Monster. And in a most graphic, moving, and disturbing way, it deals with grief. And anybody who's lost someone, or more than one someone close, looks at that and immediately knows the feeling of loss and grief and bereavement. Very, very powerful work.
It's like this room was made for it. This is quite an interesting room. I'm quite intrigued to know what's going on in here. We've got Kate Bradbury's suitcases, which are very interesting, and
Oh, this is Kate Bradbury's work, and she literally works with garbage. I understand this. She needs to find it. She just seems to stumble over stuff. And she builds suitcase people, and she builds these strange skull-like beings in shoes. We call this the waiting room. We call this the departure lounge, and these very eerie suitcase people are looking toward the light. The light is coming through the door there. It's a beautiful golden, and they see that they're going to another world, and they're just staring in a very eerie way. They'll be walking slowly toward the light, not realizing that on the other side of the door is Euston Road and traffic and smelly smog and all that awful stuff. They think they're going to a better world, poor things. And they're all made out of detritus. Every time I curate a show, I like to have places where people can actually sit on the art, sit among the art, and contemplate the art. So we call this the meditation room. Medusa is sitting attractively on a painted chair. All of these icons are by Chris Kazansky, made out of old tinfoil and ends and bits and pieces of this and that. And people sit in here and talk. I put in a heater so they don't freeze themselves while they're talking. So this is the meditation lounge, and right next to it, this contains my work and my philosophy. For instance, don't wear beige, it might kill you. Also, good taste is overrated.